It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
Oh, we love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week we're recapping Star Wars Celebration 2022 announcements.
Insert lightsaber sound effects here.
Yeah, I probably won't, but I appreciate the effort there. I've got a couple lightsabers I keep in storage, because you can build them at Disney. This is before the fancy ones, those cheap plastic ones, so I want to go back and build a nice one, but that's for another time. The Thor trailer flicks too hard, Mike. And we'll talk about that like right out the gate, because that dropped on a Monday. We knew it last week. So we've been sitting out a little bit all week. Netflix kicks off their Geeked Week soon, and we've got their schedule of events in the notes below. We're going to check that out and more.
And hot off the presses of my mind. When we were waiting for our intro to get rolling there at the top of the show, it popped up in my head like I saw a screenshot that said that they were making a Morbius 2. I never looked if that was real.
It's
or
not
not.
real. It's not real.
I just looked it up. It's not real.
It's not real. This all goes down to what I sent you, and I think just shakes me to my core, Mike, is that the phrase "it's Morbin time," which never appears in the Morpheus movie, Morbius movie, not Morpheus, Morbius movie, because it's a rip on the Power Rangers Morphin Time, has become this trend of a meme online that even corporations are getting into.
Yeah, Morbin is now a verb. It's made its way into like just my little vanity Twitter accounts of like actual Heathcliff comics that I read Heathcliff comics on my timeline. They're making Morbin jokes. It's crazy out there. The only positive of like that fake CNN screenshot that was floating around was like supposedly this fake sequel to Morbius was going to be streaming only.
Well.
And I was like, well, that's not a bad compromise, right?
Well,
if I don't have to go to the movie theater to watch it.
The problem is Sony doesn't know what streaming service they want to work with right now. So you'd have to probably subscribe to all of them. It'd be a different streaming service every week.
Yes. And if you're unaware, some of the Spider-Man stuff is starting to slowly dribble onto Netflix.
I got it in the notes down here, Mike. We're going to talk about it. I brought it into the news this week because it's
the
so
most
big.
Unlikely Spider-Man trilogy is now available on Netflix.
Yes, it is. But good God, I hope Morbius doesn't get a sequel, despite all the fun people are having with it.
It's Morbin time.
God, it's Morbin time. So let's kick it off, Mike. We've got video games to kick off this week's stuff. So you give me your video game, and I'll give you mine.
Yeah, surprisingly, I'm just still playing Elden Ring, and I just wanted to update everybody. Last time I was saying I was kind of combing through YouTube. I was engaging in the online community, just kind of seeing how people are playing Elden Ring. And I am always a person that enjoys like stealth or ranged combat in video games in general. I just kind of like to take my time when I approach a situation, which usually involves like stealth or range. So obviously I gravitated towards the sorcery build in the game. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to like optimize a sorcerer. So I just went on YouTube and I figured out how to do it. And apparently you can make this insane, overpowered sorcerer that you can get this unlimited Kamehameha blast, basically, for like 10 seconds. And you can just obliterate like high-level bosses in the games as long as they don't move around too much. So I did a little bit of elbow work. I used my elbow grease to do work. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, Chris. It's the Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
And I just made this overpowered sorcerer, and now I'm just going to all these bosses that were kicking my ass the last couple of weeks, and I'm blasting them with Comet Azure, and I'm melting their faces off. So I'm getting a lot more fun out of doing that than how I was playing the game, which was just struggling every second, just trying to figure out how to chip away at health bars. So there's always an upside of just figuring out how somebody else plays the game. So if you're struggling out there with Elden Ring, just embrace the online community, like I said a week before. But that's my Elden Ring update, Chris. Still slowly working my way through the end game. But it looks like you have some video game news of a game that I don't play either.
You don't play, but it's relevant to the show more so now than ever. Fortnite Season 2 is ending next Saturday at 4 p.m., which will wrap up the Doctor Strange season for this. It had Doctor Strange and the Prowler as skins you could get. And then next season, so Season 2 has this big event. They do a live event. You join, does the thing. Season 3 is rumored to be, the main character will be Darth Vader. As the number one
that's
skin.
Timely.
Yeah.
Timely, that makes sense.
Obi-Wan Kenobi just dropped in the shop this week to coincide with his own show. They've done other people. They've done like the sequel trilogy before. They've had a couple others here. I have the only Star Wars thing I own is actually a Stormtrooper skin. It's pretty basic to get. In Season 3. And then the other character, not only is it Darth Vader being the level 100 character, but the bonus character, as Prowler was this season, is rumored to be Indiana Jones for it. So Marvel and Disney have pretty much just the greatest partnership with Fortnite, it seems. There's a Marvel comic book coming out for it. The Star Wars, Indiana Jones. If you have, I'm surprised we don't have like a Lilo and Stitch version of this game yet, Mike. I don't know.
I mean, it could be possible. The what is it, 626 day? That's kind of a day that I believe they used the 626, but that's for Stitch for Lilo.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Like his
scientific
identification number or something. So maybe on the 26th of next month, maybe Lilo and Stitch will drop.
Yeah, you will have that. I mean, it's just it's weird to think of Darth Vader running around with a Fortnite gun. It's weird to think of Spider-Man running around with a Fortnite gun.
I mean, I know all I have to do is download this game or even go on YouTube, and I can see it for myself, but it's just so silly for me to imagine exactly Darth Vader with some sort of weird cartoony gun or bazooka running around. Now I could see Stitch doing that.
Yeah.
And if I could get a little girl Willow running around with a rocket launcher, I don't think that would get approved, but I'd love to see it.
I don't think the Disney princesses are going to make it over to Fortnite, but it is crazy to think about it. But at the same time, whenever I am playing, I never once think about it. I'm like, because you just see the back of the character, right? Like, I'm like, okay. Like, an example was I was playing, Black Panther. I'm like, yeah, I know he's probably used guns before in the comic books at some point, but I'm running around with a rocket launcher and shotguns and other ones. But it's so fun that it's just a big, massive world of like not as close as Ready Player One, but like if you want a multiverse of multiverses, Fortnite is the home of that, right? Like you have every character almost known to man. Put in here. We had one this weekend. It was the Mandalorian, RoboCop, some sort of ghost-looking dude. It was a custom character, and we said just Tom Hardy because it was the Eddie Brock version of the skin. So
it does make you wonder. I'm sure you would know this more than I would if this is already leaked or if there's been rumors, but there's got to be VR development happening in their office space in some way, right? I don't know how you don't touch on that with all this metaverse stuff bubbling up.
I've not heard a thing of Fortnite doing VR yet, but knowing that their parent company is in fact Epic, who makes a whole graphics engine for this kind of stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if they eventually do like a VR mode or a standalone version of it. So.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about like PSVR a little bit back in the day when there was a moment in time where we both had one, and playing Astrobot was pretty cool. You had that like third person. I don't know if you could pull that off with Fortnite in VR, but it could be fun. It's a very cartoony world, which works well even when you're on like a low end headset, right? Because you don't have to render like these super highly polished things.
There's a couple games for not PlayStation VR. It's for the Oculus called Demio, which is essentially you have like an island or like a game board and you're controlling the game board from above. And I could see like a mode like that where like, because the game's just an island, right? So like, what if you're like a god above the island moving things around? Would be interesting for me. Like I saw some indie developer made a VR game where it was like one person is like who has a headset on is like really little, and the other people with the headsets are like gods above them, and you're like dodging the god stuff as they're throwing it at you, which I think would be kind of cool. So
yeah, it does sound fun.
Yeah, but anyway, Fortnite. They season 2's ending with Doctor Strange. If you want to jump in and try to get it this week, Godspeed to you. But season 3 will have Vader and Indiana Jones, which is really cool. some of the other previous crossovers that I believe will be happening. They actually have Stranger Things in this game, Mike, to touch on that. You can buy the Demogorgon skin or a Hopper skin, and they've got some, just... I think it was around season 2 stuff in here that they get. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if they add more with the new season halfway out, I guess, right? That's about where we are right now. So you've got it in here's your notes. Have you watched any of 4, or what have you got for me on Stranger Things?
Yeah, no Stranger Things spoilers right off the top. Chris swore me to secrecy because he hasn't had a chance to dive into the new season. So I won't spoil it for anybody else either. But Season 4 on its way earlier in the week, so the wife and I decided to rewatch Season 3, and this was the first time that we've really ever rewatched something from Stranger Things. And also, I don't rewatch a lot of like dramatic television. I'll rewatch comedies like all day, all the time. But yeah, drama, I usually don't go back for seconds, but it had been so long since anybody had really talked about or watched Season 3, right? It was like 3 years ago. I don't even remember the exact date. Mm-hmm. So we were like, okay, we could watch a really detailed recap, or the advantage of Season 3 of Stranger Things, it's only like 8 episodes. I was like, if we just start this on a Monday, just casually watch it, we'll totally be done by Friday. And it was a fun time rewatching it. I remember the first time we watched Season 3, I was a little less than positive on it. I still enjoyed it overall, but I was like, I just wasn't really digging it. But this second time around, I was loving every second of it. I don't know what it was. Maybe the fact that I kind of knew what the mystery was. I didn't have to stress, trying to figure out the clues and the mysteries and the teams all coming together at the end when that was happening. I just knew everything, so I was just able to enjoy the characters, the stories, the lighthearted jokes, the drama, just the filmmaking in general. And I just had a really good time. So I'm just here to say, like, these things can be appreciated with a little bit more age and retrospect, which I wasn't expecting with Stranger Things. I feel like I honestly respect the show a little bit more when maybe some people just think it's like nostalgia bait just out there, just trying to get eyeballs for Stranger Things.
My question for you is, knowing that the previous season, even now, Netflix is a binge model, and you didn't binge it over the week, do you think you having that time to even breathe between episodes kind of let you think about it a little bit more before you jump back into the next one a little bit?
Yeah, it's almost like a double-edged sword when you're just talking about the release of stuff in general, right? Mm-hmm. Because not only talking about just taking breathers between episodes, let's talk about the huge gap of time that's between Season 3 and Season 4 that ends on like a cliffhanger with a major character. Yeah. And it almost kind of gave me the feeling a little bit of, I think it's between Season 2 and Season 3 of Sherlock, the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock Holmes show, where you're trying to figure out, how did Sherlock survive that, that fall, right? And then you're waiting so long for an answer, right? There's a similar situation here where in Season 4, you're waiting for your answer for this like cliffhanger. But a long way of saying, yes, we started watching Season 4 Part 1 this weekend, and I had been kind of avoiding a lot of Stranger Things like news and trailers and episode counts and run times for things just because I didn't really want to know beforehand. Because when you Google these things, you often come across spoilers. But now I can just open up Netflix, go to the episodes, and there's 7 episodes in Part 1. I did not realize that. I'm sure 7? It had been reported elsewhere. Yeah,
I thought it was 6. I thought it was 6 and 4. So that might have been my bad. Yeah.
Oh well, it could be 6. Either way, like that's almost a full season, right, for a Disney Plus show. And the last episode in Part 1, I know we talked about the last episode for Part 2 being like the feature length of a movie, right? The last episode in Part 1 is like an hour and 38 minutes. We haven't gotten to that episode yet, but like if you just look at the minutes in this first part of Stranger Things 4, it's like a whole season, right? So if anybody out there was upset, that the season was being split in half, like we're basically getting like 2 seasons of Stranger Things this year. Like we getting a season this month, and then the next season coming out in July, basically, is how I'm looking at it. But yeah, just a couple episodes in, we just kind of know the setup and kind of like the structure for this season going forward. If the theme of last season was supposed to be kind of like 80s action, right, homages, this is kind of like maybe like 80s horror. or like, spooky thriller vibes is kind of what they're angling at here. So, getting in that mindset has been pretty fun. But I'll leave my thoughts until we kind of get a chance to finish it all, Chris. And then maybe we'll come back here in a couple weeks and talk about the recap of part one.
Yeah, I definitely plan on watching it this week, but holiday weekend, graduation season, it's really kept us out of the house. And
other streaming shows that premiered this week that we had to watch too.
Yeah, so it even took me 2 days to watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I was like, well, that kind of isn't fun, but it's whatever. It happens. I mean, it's fine. There's no desire. So let's go ahead and unless you have anything else, let's jump into the news, man. Let's get on with this, because I think this was something we started texting about immediately on Monday night. Thor: Love and Thunder. I guess the first one's a teaser, very much a teaser. This one's the full trailer, and this trailer gave us a little bit more look into. Maybe not the conflict, but at least the villain, Christian Bale's Gorr, right? That was the biggest question. We've seen the toys, we've seen the artwork, but we've not seen him in action. And we get to see, it looks kind of like across this trailer, an evolution of that character. But what I think is very important about this is it's got this dramatic tone to it, right? Gorr, all gods must die is his mission. There is still a pulse of humor and Taika Waititi's levity in this, right? That kind of pokes fun at the gods of the Marvel universe along the way, including Zeus, played by Russell Crowe, throughout this as well. So I had a much better time with this trailer than the first one, obviously, because it gave us more. But I think to me there's like some little Easter eggs in this that really stuck out to me along the way as well. And we all see Jane use Mjolnir in a really fun fashion. I don't know if you caught this when she shot out the shards of the hammer to knock some of the I guess Olympian guards away.
Yeah, that did happen, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It's been a week. We've almost been on this a whole week. So what's your biggest takeaway from it? I mean,
it was just fun. It's just really nice to dive back into the mind of Taika Waititi. If you were watching Our Flag Means Death a couple weeks ago, or I guess maybe even like a couple months ago on HBO Max, it's just his brand of humor is very specific. But also it's very funny. So, like, why wouldn't you indulge, right? The obviously the best part of the trailer, I think, is you flicked too hard. It's just great. And then the fact that Taika Waititi gets to show Chris Hemsworth's butt but has to pixelate it. Like, I'm curious if that makes it into the movie. Like, is that just because this trailer has to premiere online, we can't just show his butt? But then I think they show the front side of him as well, and
it was above the waist.
It was either way. Like, you might get to see Chris Hemsworth's butt on the big screen, possibly in a big Marvel fashion. That would be really funny.
They did the if you go back and watch Ragnarok, they did the Hulk's butt in one of those scenes when he was like,
that's right.
So I could totally see them like not blurring it for the movie kind of thing. So
that was just great. I love the silliness and the audacity of these gods in general. You have to show them kind of like fat and full of milk and honey, right? Because you got to give Gorr a reason to go like execute all of them. We got to see a little bit of the I'm assuming that's the Necro Sword.
Yeah, a little bit of the Necro Sword,
Yeah, and then once you see the Necro Sword, and something Marvel related, the first thing you think of is there any symbiote relation to this at all? And there is like one shot that it's not entirely clear what exactly is happening, but there's kind of like these organic kind of like vines or
it's kind of like
that are opening,
like the alien structure, right, from Aliens.
If you zoom in, it doesn't look totally like fluid and symbiote. There is kind of like division lines between like panels of something. So maybe this will just be Marvel's interpretation. We just don't know much about it, but there's very intense scenes that seem to be presented entirely in black and white, where we're trying to figure out, is this a planet? Is this a dimension? Or is this just artistic intent, right?
Yeah.
You could totally see Taika Waititi just changing the color grade on a scene because it's funny. And he doesn't really care if there's no reason why everything should be in black and white right now. So, curious about that scene. I don't want to look too much into the trailer just because I almost don't want to like spoil the structure of the movie myself. But that kind of seems like third act a little bit, right? Like, the final battle between Gorr, but I don't know.
It could be. There's a shot earlier where Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie is fighting with Zeus's lightning bolts. So this could be like a mid-movie kind of moment where like maybe they meet on like, Olympus for the first time or something like that.
Or end of first act, where you confront the villain for the very first time to kind of like set up the stakes.
Yeah, there's a lot of places in here, and if we go like and look at the historical Ragnarok trailer, when Hela blew up Mjolnir for the first time, that was in like a city alley, right? And remember when they came to the full movie, that was actually in Norway. I would not put it past any of these backgrounds to be completely fake along the way for this. That's true. So 100%. Couple things. When you see Chris Hemsworth naked, a lot of people are probably looking at the pixelated portion of this. If you raise your eyes just a little higher, he actually has Loki's helmet tattooed on his back as like a tribute to Loki.
Oh, that's nice.
Which is really cool. And then there's a scene later with Jane Foster where she powers like the lightning up for the sky, and she's surrounded by 5 statues, and at least 3 of them I could pick out right away is the embodiments marvels of death, the living tribunal yet again, and Uatu the Watcher. And there's 2 more, and people have shown me who they are. I just can't remember them because they're not as memorable. But like that's to tell me like, hey, maybe they are playing with a little bit of cosmic stuff. They're diving their toes in that cosmic realm of Marvel a little more than we're used to going forward. So
I think the one question I have is, are we going to see a god die from Gorr's sword that maybe we have seen previously, right? Obviously you can introduce brand new characters in this movie just for Gorr to kill off, but I'm curious if Christian Bale is going to axe any actor that we've been used to for like the last decade plus.
The first question you asked when we watched it was like, is Jamie Alexander Sif in this? And literally 2 seconds later, the poster was like Jamie Alexander, but she's not in the trailer. So that would be a very, I think, emotional stake to have her be possibly offed by,
possibly,
Gorr.
yeah.
Now it would be a disservice to her since she was not in the last movie, and the last appearance we saw her was literally Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but...
Yeah. I'm curious if she's gonna get a moment in the show like, oh, Thor, it's nice to see you again. Isn't it sad that all of our friends died from Hela in the last movie?
Yeah. Hey, didn't you tell Loki to blow up our planet? Because it's gone now. There's a lot. It's just like I said, I agree with you. I don't want to dive into it too much, but it is fun to catch the little tidbits. And like I said, the humor is there because it's telling the it's Korg telling the story of the last amazing Thor, right? And
C-3PO style.
Yeah, and he's like, oh wait, not the last one. So yeah, I'm excited for this along the way. This comes out July 8th, so we are just a little over a month away from it, and I'm excited to. I imagine tickets go on sale in 2 weeks. You think?
Yeah,
probably less than a month out.
Yeah, because we're getting really close.
Yeah. So, be ready for those to drop any minute. I don't think we'll do another trailer soon, but I could, 2 more weeks, we'll do another trailer and sell the tickets. So, we'll keep you posted if we hear anything on that. Sony, the company that makes everything from TVs to PlayStations, is starting to farm out its TV adaptations of its video game properties, Mike. And what's interesting about this is literally everything that we know of. I forgot to put it in here. Almost all the game properties being converted to TVs are different distribution streaming studios. There is no single home to watch all of these, Mike. So if you want to watch the upcoming Horizon Forbidden West thing, you got to go to Netflix. If you want to watch God of War, you got to go to Amazon. If you want to watch The Last of Us, which I didn't put in here, is on HBO. And the Gran Turismo series, we don't know where this is going to live yet. That might be on the PlayStation itself.
First of all, I know I'm not a car guy, right? But what is a Gran Turismo series? Like, what is it? The game is just driving cars. Is there like a very worked out story mode in that I'm not aware of? Like, that's just a car driving show, and they just slap the Gran Turismo logo on it.
Exactly. Like that is what I don't get, because it's like a racing simulator, right? The only way to do a racing simulator in real is to just do like a racing movie. I don't know. Like, I don't know either. Like, this sounds wild to me.
I mean, I didn't know the Horizon series was getting a series. Yeah. I think that's pretty cool, just because I didn't really have the patience to play like a brand new game franchise when I think the first Horizon game was like a PlayStation free game or something for a month, so I downloaded it and I started playing it, and the world seems really, really cool. You know, you have all these like mechanical creatures, and there's like this advanced technology, and there's a mystery behind it. I thought that was really cool, but I just couldn't dedicate the time to it. So if I could just like watch the story on Netflix, that could be fun. You know, it seems like a very, very story-driven game, which would be good for adaptation, right?
Yeah. It's also heralded as a lot of people love this game. The sequel as well. It is also getting one of the first PlayStation 5 VR games out the gate as well. So, yeah, 100% agree. This is a good adaptation. I think I agree with you there.
Yeah, God of War, it seems like they got a lot to draw from, right? You could pretty much make that show whatever you want to make it. Do you adapt the most recent game where you have the probably the more cinematic story of like kind of like father-son relationships, or do you go like balls to the wall in the first season and it's just Kratos running around killing gods, and maybe season 2 or season 3 he gets a kid? I'm not 100%
well, there's
sure.
There's like 4 games before we even get to the newer one, so yeah.
Yeah, I would say if you're making a God of War series, put like a visionary director, somebody wild. Like those original games are just like blood, guts, action, just over the top. Like something over the top, I feel like would serve God of War well.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and you need to go full in on it as well. Like, you know, you can't just kind of half-ass a God of War series. Like, is he really gonna like? It's a very bloody and violent game, right? And he does have some like hyper powers along the way. So if it's gonna go to, if it's, and I believe Amazon can do it. They've done The Boys, but I don't know what they're putting behind all these or faith in that. So yeah, and then The Last of Us has been in production for a while. We knew about that, and you're a fan of that series, so. You know, that's a very story-driven game as well, right? Like, so the only thing is, I would say, you know, they could take the Halo approach and make a different timeline, a not retelling, a unique storytelling for these. But based on the reception from most of the people who watch this, they don't want to hear a different version of the story. They want to hear the story they know and have played in these games over and over again. So, especially the Gran Turismo fans, God, they're gonna want an identical one for one in there. Not just kidding. All right. So yeah, but yeah, one of these is coming to Netflix. Horizon Forbidden West, Horizon Forbidden Dawn, Horizon Forbidden, whatever it's going to be. But Netflix is kicking off Geeked Week on June 6th. So that's around the corner. I kind of forget these happen, right? Because they kind of, what was it? Kind of like a little bit of a whimper last time. We did
sometimes this. Like you don't really know exactly what it's going to be, right? It's like a crossed video live stream was what they did last time, where you could go on Twitch or YouTube or Twitter or wherever live streaming was available. You could get that there. I think most sane people just wait till the end of the day and look for recaps, or just look for accounts that tweet out the news. But I'm looking at the poster now. Yeah, there's a lot of things. It looks like Umbrella Academy, obviously that's a headliner, but that's coming out soon. So I don't know exactly what advanced knowledge they're going to get me there. That'll probably just be like maybe another trailer, some cast interviews, which, you know, doesn't particularly interest me. But I do think it's really funny that the adaptation of One Piece is this just, it's the first in like the tiny row, right? Yeah. Umbrella Academy, Sandman, Resident Evil. And then One Piece is down here, starting this tiny list. I would have thought maybe they would give that a little bit more. Maybe they just don't have much to show off.
Yeah, that's what. All I've seen is the logo so far. So I think they might. I don't even know if have they done casting yet. Maybe it'll be casting announcements.
Yeah, but did you watch the Gray Man trailer yet, Chris? They
have
that here for.
I did.
That looks fun. I had a question to ask you. Is this the first film that the Russo brothers are like really directing since Endgame? I know they've done a bunch of producing on stuff since Endgame.
No, they directed Cherry, the Tom Holland.
Cherry, that's right, with Tom Holland. Okay,
yeah.
So this will be kind of like somewhat special in a way of like, I feel like I've seen the Russo brothers' names on 1,000 things, right? Yeah. But this will be another fun one. The trailer looked fun and exciting, so hopefully Netflix can pull off a good feature at home with this.
Nothing against, you know, the Russo brothers or Tom Holland, but Cherry just seemed. I just didn't really care about it, you know, as much. But this one looks fun. This looks literally like a spy versus spy kind of thing, right? And then you got like an evil Chris Evans with his mustache look going on. You know, you got a Ryan Gosling being Ryan Gosling and everything. It looks really fun for that. So I think that's a big plus for Netflix coming up here. They go to animation. I know Love, Death, and Robots just dropped a new season, right? So I don't know what they're going to talk about.
I'm looking for an update on the next season of The Dragon Prince and Arcane. So I'm glad that those are there.
Yeah.
I could see maybe a trailer for The Dragon Prince airing because it's been a while since that last season. They had some behind the scenes drama with I think the showrunner or the head writer that was maybe doing some HR violations. So I don't know exactly what's going to come out of that. But Arcane, everybody who's seen that show is frothing for the next season. So yeah. I hope we get a little bit more of Arcane.
Yep. Thursday, Stranger Things just dropped. Literally just a Stranger Things all day kind of thing. So I don't know what else they're going to show us here, but it looks like just maybe some recaps of stuff. And then lastly is the games thing. So we get the Cuphead show finally. We know that's coming. I'm really surprised Arcane isn't down here under games because that's based on League of Legends.
Is it adaptions of games, or is it like the Netflix gaming side? Like how if you you can download Netflix games.
So Sonic Prime, I believe, is the Sonic animated show coming to Netflix.
Maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe it's like a hybrid segment.
Yeah,
for Friday.
the first three lines are the first three items are shows coming to this. Now that's why I thought Arcane would be down here because Dota's Defense of the Ancients was like a League of Legends competitor in the game. But then they talk about other games coming to the Netflix app, which I've never had a chance to play them nor have I heard anything good about those, Mike. I don't know if you've heard anything different, but.
No, I honestly, I don't even know how Netflix games work in general. Yeah. I thought the promise was you could just open up the Netflix app on your phone that streams video and you could just play games. But also if you go to like the App Store on iOS and you like search Netflix, there's just separate downloads for games. So the gaming strategy from a technical point of view is not clear from me, right? I don't play a lot of games on my phone, so they're going to need to like make it a little bit clearer for me if they want me in that ecosystem.
So the problem with that is actually Apple, because if you have an app full of other games, each one of those games have to be ranked and have a separate standalone app anyways, which is weird as hell to be that. That's why like we don't have like what is it the streaming app, like Microsoft doesn't have like their gaming app, Nvidia. What are those like? Was it Amazon one? Called that nobody plays. Luna. It's not Luna, is it?
The game Luna. Streaming. Oh, you're talking about Stadia and Luna.
Yeah, Stadia. There it is. Yeah. So those are why those don't exist on iPhones. So it's just a bad user experience overall. But Geek Week seems to be pretty okay, I guess. I mean, I think we'll maybe have like 5 or 6 bullet points at the end of this that we'll cover here in the week after for that. The other part of this is, Mikey, and you pointed this out. Some Spider-Man properties are streaming on Netflix now. Some of them.
Yes. The best Spider-Man trilogy of all time.
Yes.
The Amazing Spider-Man starring Andrew Garfield.
Yes.
Lego Marvel Spider-Man Vexed by Venom.
Yep.
And Lego Marvel Superheroes Maximum Overload. I don't know what that is, but it's another Lego. So it's just funny seeing these three things. I imagine it's just like as streaming contracts slowly expire, they roll over back onto Netflix. So this is where you put up or shut up, people. If you really, really want more Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe, you watch that movie over and over, nonstop, get it to like trend on Netflix for weeks in a row, and then maybe you'll get Sony approaching Netflix to make something with Andrew Garfield.
The stupidest thing about this interface, Mike, is because it says we don't have Spider-Man, but these are similar. The first one is literally Amazing Spider-Man. I'm like, you do have Spider-Man. You just don't get it.
Yeah, and I will admit, the Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man is entertaining to watch, but Mark Webb making those movies is not. So as long as you don't bring Mark Webb back, I don't know. Honestly, the streaming and entertainment landscape is so bizarre. I would not be shocked if in a year, like Netflix announces something with Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker. We'll just be rolling on the floor.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprised either. On the flip side, if you want to watch the original Spider-Man trilogy, Mike, from Sam Raimi, those are going to Peacock in June. So I don't know these deals. How did it get to Peacock before Netflix? We'll always perplex me, but
just download the Just Watch app
Yeah.
for your phone, and then you can just find where all this stuff
exactly. And but I think the other thing is, though, Spider-Man hasn't been on anything in a long time. I think is the other part of this one. Is why this made the news. Because like I think right now, if you go look and stream, you can't stream it right now. You have to buy it because I believe, and you would know this as well, when movies hit theaters, they pull them. Or anything related to that movie. When Spider-Man No Way Home hit theaters, they pulled all the Spider-Man stuff from streaming, so you have to purchase them to watch them because they know the demand's going to be there. So right now, you can head over to the Microsoft Store and buy 2002 Spider-Man for $27.99, according to Just Watch.
That is steep.
Yes, it is for a 22-year-old or 20-year-old movie at this point. But yeah, so Spider-Man, they're going to be everywhere and nowhere all at the same time for that. I sent you over some photos earlier this week, Mike, but I have a video actually to show you of the Blue Beetle costume. They are filming this movie right now, and apparently they're doing it out on the street where anyone can be taking photos, and we get to see kind of the costume in action here a little bit. And you brought up a good point. Don't they just normally just CG this stuff?
Yeah, like there's not a single tracking dot on this dude anywhere, which is pretty surprising, but pretty cool. This was the first time me seeing the video, and you can tell there's already a post-production people ready to go because there's like a loose like Beetle arm like flapping on his shoulder, like when he's getting out of the car. I'm not saying that's not abnormal. That probably happens all the time with superhero costumes on set. So I think we knew that it was going to be a mixture of probably CG and the costume in general. But it is cool to see him in a costume. I mean, we saw that with Robert Downey Jr. in the first Iron Man movie, and then as the series progressively went on, he wore less and less and less of the costume.
Yeah.
Going to like the very last time you see him, and he's just wearing like a zip-up jacket that you could probably buy at Disneyland, and then the nanobots like slide onto him, and then he's just a CG character. So Blue Beetle's pretty cool. I liked him in Young Justice. I like this actor from Cobra Kai. I think that'll be good synergy for Warner Brothers there. And I like the Beetle look. You can see like the backpack a little bit more in the video, and it looks very Beetle-esque. So I'm down.
I'm pretty sure he'll also have more kind of like remember the Spider-Man arms that come out of his backpack on the new one. I think he has some of those moves as well when you see this. So very, very cool to go practical with this. Suit and they're filming it. So this isn't something that we can't. This isn't a Madam Web situation, or what was it, Silver and Black, where they back out like the week of filming with nothing rolling. So they're rolling on this. They're doing it, Mike. This is gonna happen before we know it. So I think he's a really cool character in Injustice, the Injustice games. He's got a really cool power set.
There's I just saw that there's a shot here from the Just Jared website that almost always has these telephoto lens shots, right? Where there's this one shot where it's him standing without the helmet on, and there's like a blue and yellow umbrella guy standing, and he's just like holding the front page of the script, like just out in front of him, so you can kind of see the Blue Beetle logo a little bit on there. That's just funny. Like, why is he just?
It feels like he's posing, right? Like,
like what is he doing? Is this just for the telephoto lens guy off in the distance? Like, oh, in case you didn't know what you're photographing, here's the front page of the script.
I'm impressed. This kid just took his helmet off, and his hair still looks great.
Yeah, he's got good hair, man.
Yeah, like somehow he just whips his helmet off, and it still looks good. So. Blue Beetle coming out, alien life form, kind of like a symbiote, but it gives him Iron Man style powers. So this will be, I think it's going to theaters, right? It was originally HBO Max, but I think it'll be theaters.
He should have like a live narrator in his head too, if I remember right.
Yeah, like talk
so
it'll
be a little bit kind of like Moon Knight and Venom too. So it's culminations of a lot of things that have we've seen before.
Yes, and they're finally putting them to reveal. So yep. So big news there. So let's jump into Star Wars Celebration, Mike. This is the back half of this.
This is the meat of the show. You've had your appetizer. You did not fill up on bread, hopefully.
No. And if you did, you're going to make room for this. Trust us. Star Wars Celebration is going on in Anaheim, California. So not far from you at all. We've got friends who are there. They're not giving me anything that I can't find online, but it's really cool to hear that experience and people enjoy the Star Wars stuff. So we're going to go through the news and reveals, and we're going to start with really the only Star Wars movie to have anything announced here. And this is Taika Waititi's Star Wars film, and they are shooting to hit theaters with this in late 2023. However, Mike, nothing is locked in yet.
That is way sooner than I thought it would be. Wow. So he's rolling off of Thor: Love and Thunder, and he's going right. Like there's no way he has any breathing time to make a flippin' Star Wars movie like next year. That's crazy. Pre-production for these films take forever. Production has not ever gotten shorter for a blockbuster movie, so he's looking at a couple months there, and then post-production. I'm sure he's still tweaking a couple things on Thor: Love and Thunder. Maybe not a lot, but man, he is a workhorse.
Yeah, huge profile movies, right? Like going from one to the other. And he usually does a smaller film, like Jojo Rabbit or something in between all these. So it's
I guess his smaller film was Our Flag Means Death. That was for him.
Yeah. So that he might do another season of that in between this, but like Star Wars is known for, despite the newer Mandalorian shows, using practical effects and stuff right along the way. So I'm going to be interested to see kind of where this takes place in Star Wars. What's it have to do with, and why is Taika involved with this? What humorous tones does it have about it? Like, right? Is it like it can't be a serious film? I know he does serious films, but it can't be a full serious film.
And even when he goes serious, there's always like just lighthearted. Like even when he made a movie about the freaking like Holocaust and World War II and Hitler, and it was still really funny at times. So
and really emotional too. So like he knows how to balance them. So.
Yeah, and he has every opportunity to change and grow if he so wishes. If in 20 years he wants to make a movie that wins Best Picture and really tug at heartstrings, feel free to go ahead. But as of right now, he seems to be making stuff that I love to watch and love to laugh. So I think the levity is welcomed in the Star Wars universe, at least from my point of view.
Yeah, and Star Wars has always been funny, right? Like it's always been there. Maybe not at the forefront, but it's always had humorous stuff. But like I want to know what this movie's about. Where does it exist? Why does it need to exist? That's what we always ask about a lot of these shows, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But like we don't know anything, and I think that's just driving me crazy. But like possibly at this year's quote unquote SDCC, if they have it in person, or if Disney doesn't go, I don't remember if we know any of that stuff yet. Maybe we'll find out more about this after Thor: Love and Thunder's out in theaters. So that's really the only movie news to come out of this. I think that's really surprising, but Disney and Lucasfilm are leaning into their episodic content, right? Because it's providing to be a huge success. Mandalorian is a huge success when Star Wars was literally flailing to survive.
I think Kathleen Kennedy saw the tea leaves, the writing on the wall, whatever proverb you want to use. These movies aren't working out, but the shows are, so let's just do more shows.
We can do more shows for cheaper. So let's talk about the next Star Wars show coming out. Kenobi's already out. The next one coming out is Andor, a show that we constantly ask ourselves why. And we got our first official trailer from this, so our first footage. And the reveal that it is a 12-episode season, along with a season 2 already confirmed for 12 more episodes. However,
12 episods.
I don't know if these are hours. I think these could be half-hour episodes.
Either way, what is this, Netflix? What's going on here?
So, well, I was going to say, this tells me, 2 seasons gonna wrap up. They know where this ends, which is actually a benefit for them, because if they were just winging it and like, well, maybe we don't know how long it's going to go, maybe it'll be successful. We don't have to worry about them just making shit up along the way to make the show last longer than it needed to be.
Yeah, maybe. I'll eat my words a little bit. This official trailer here is actually kind of cool. It gives me Rogue One vibes, not surprising, right? And I think one of the things I like the most about Rogue One, if I want to totally contradict myself, talking about levity in the Star Wars universe with Taika Waititi, I really liked Rogue One because it was the only time I've ever watched Star Wars where I felt like the word war ever really came to the forefront, right?
Yeah.
Like I felt like I could sympathize with people, and not just totally like jump the story over to a Jedi and his magical powers. So it looks cool. Total big props, because I think in the trailer I only see like a glimpse of what might be a desert planet for like 1 second for a couple of frames. And if I went back, I don't even think it's entirely desert. I think it's just a location that looks a little desolate. So I saw lots of greenery, lots of trees. I'm down for that. It looks cool because we always praise the technology of the volume, but we know that a lot of this one was shot, kind of more of a practically exterior. Yeah. I'm sure there's some shots in a volume, just because they have it, why not use it? So it does have a different vibe when I'm watching it. So yeah, I'll eat my words a little bit. I'm a little bit more excited, but like it's really hard to avoid like the prequelitis on this one, right? I know exactly what happens to Andor. I know how this ends.
Well, so I think here's something I will push back into you. We have like 2 shots of Cassian Andor in this whole trailer. So I would say we know what happens to him, but I think we're going to see a lot more than we expect of people and situations in the Star Wars universe that we don't know happen to them, right? Like
this is what you do. You pivot the show because it's called Andor. You introduce like a brother or a sister, or I don't know, even a mom or a dad, and you just make the show about them, so you can just continue the story, and we don't have to know who blows up on a planet,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it could be like Cassian, or he talked to these people, but it's interesting that this feels like you said, this is the Star Wars have always been about like kind of, for better or worse, the political aspects of the war, right? Like the one person who's going to turn the war is always prophecies and magic items, and this is another situation where this is grounded. This is the Mandalorian style stuff where everything's happening on a simple plane, like and everyone's involved, like from the street urchins to some of these Imperial officers walking through here, and there's no, to me it didn't seem like any Force users whatsoever at all.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is just a trailer, and we haven't really dove into the show just yet. And we'll talk about Obi-Wan and spoilers at the end of the show. But, man, it is like getting whiplash trying to mentally drop yourself into a Star Wars timeline now. Because a lot of these shows, the world is predicated on, is the Empire in power? Did they just fall from power? Is there a Death Star out there? Is there not a Death Star out there? Where exactly are they? And for us being Star Wars nerds, we can figure it out. We can get there. But, man, God help the casual viewer trying to get into the Star Wars Disney Plus universe, because you are all over the place. Like, if you think like, am I going to get to see like, Baby Yoda in this show? Like, well, actually, that's a bad example because those things live forever. So who knows? It could be alive. But like, no, you're probably not going to see Mandalorian crossover in the show because he would just be a baby, or whatever. So it's rough. It's rough. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I don't know if it's a problem they can solve either.
Well, I think they shot themselves in the foot by making the sequel trilogy literally have the same villains they don't have the Empire, they have the First Order, which are identical, right? Like there's no, you don't know the difference between a New Order, a First Order versus a Republic person. But if you can always tell the prequels, because it's like, hey, it's the galactic thing, right? Like, they can do era where there are no stormtroopers and there's a lot more Jedi. But like this with Andor, I agree with you. I will eat my words. We don't know the why of this show yet, right? We don't have that, why this needs to exist. But it at least is like, hey, we're not following Cassian Andor the entire time from this trailer. And that makes me feel better about it than just like, hey, we're following him, whatever he's doing for the week for 2 seasons. So they've already got this done. They're going to do a season 2. I'm pretty sure they have a lot of the sets remaining. I don't know if they'll use the same sets, but they're going to make sure it's not a volume filmed show as well, which they talked about this weekend along the way. Shifting gears into something everybody wants to see more of, and that is The Mandalorian, Mike. Season 3 is confirmed to drop not this October, sadly, but February 2023.
February. Months mean nothing when it comes to streaming services. Movies kind of like to pivot based on seasons, but no, we're going to give you the most popular streaming show in existence right now. How about February? How does that sound?
Yeah, my guess, again, when they talk about it, they only have, 2 volumes that they film in, right? So I think it's a scheduling conflict along the way.
Maybe.
But, they showed some footage. Apparently, Katie Sackhoff's Bo-Katan is confirmed to be in the series. probably something to do with the Darksaber, if I was a guessing person. And Jon Favreau says he's already writing season 4. So buckle up, buckaroos. You're getting more Mandalorian along the way.
Yeah, there was some like leaked screenshots of people that were in the audience, and there's a shot with like Bo-Katan like sitting on the throne, if you will.
Yeah.
But it got really confusing because we're going to be talking about the sequel to the Star Wars video game here in a couple segments. Mm-hmm. And when all of the Star Wars news was like breaking over the weekend, like you just see people sharing screenshots, and I was like, wait a minute. Is the kid from the Star Wars video game going to be in one of these shows? Because we're just seeing all this side-by-side stuff. So it's a good thing you're here listening to the podcast right now to clear up all of this stuff that I'm too dumb to follow.
Yes, they didn't officially release any footage, sadly, so all you can get are the leaks. So they were being taken down in droves, so I didn't link any here, but I'm sure you can search them up and find them. But Mandalorian, February next year. Glad to be back in there, right? We always say the best part of Boba Fett was the Mandalorian episode, so 2.5 to full 3 next year. With an official title, John Watts' series was reconfirmed again this week, called the Star Wars Skeleton Crew. And this is John Watts' project inspired by the Goonies. We know he's great with 80s John Hughes style stuff, right, with Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So he is taking this series that's going to have a bunch of kids. I believe they say they're Jedi on the run after Revenge of the Sith. And Jude Law is apparently the only person cast for this series so far, even though he's not one of the kids. So
yeah, you sent me the screenshot, and I was like, Jude Law has already come of age. What is he doing in this? John Watts. Maybe he's a Jedi that's going to train the kids, protect the kids. Maybe he's the antagonist. That could be possible, trying to hunt them down. But yeah, the Goonies vibes. That sounds fun. You know, there is like lighthearted and levity in there, just with children in general. So
yeah, and it's adventuristic. Crew. Yeah, meeting different aliens. Skeleton Crew is an interesting name for it.
It almost sounds like a pre-existing like Star Wars comic book somewhere, right? I wouldn't be surprised that the term exists already.
Yeah. To me, I thought it was like a what's that animated sequel they have? Bad Batch. I thought it was a Bad Batch spinoff, a spinoff of a spinoff again. I also wouldn't be surprised if this name changes over time. We have no other confirmations for this, but that's fun to know that it is coming, and we will get some early. For those in the time, this is post Revenge of the Sith, so early on after Order 66. So this is Star Wars Star Wars Bad Batch era stuff. See, I'm already getting them. My name's.
It's hard, and we know what we're talking about for the most part.
Yeah, exactly. The other big live-action project that is, I believe, currently filming, we've talked about this before, and people are excited about, is the Ahsoka show. And they confirmed that characters from Star Wars Rebels, including Sabine Wren, Harrison Dula, Ezra Bridger, will appear in this live-action series. I think they showed like a teaser of the character Harrison Dula, who is the pilot from Rebels, like with her back, like her silhouette, like not the actress who was playing her, but like from the back. So. We don't have anything to show from this, but that's great to know it's filming, right? I guess.
Yeah, I feel like I need to go on YouTube and look for like a speed run of Star Wars Rebels, because I don't have the time to sit down and watch it all, but I would like to just have more context.
It's funny because we started watching Rebels yesterday because my wife has not seen it, and it's 4 seasons, but 2 of the seasons are half seasons, so like really it's like 3 seasons of like 22 episodes, and they're half hour. So they're pretty easy to digest. So we started watching, because I've watched most of it kind of half-assed, really on the side of the screen here. So we're going back to it because the characters that we'll talk about later, the Inquisitors, right? Huge portion of the middle of episode 3 and 4 that we never heard about until recently show up in Rebels to begin with. They take place in Star Wars Fallen Order. They're probably going to be in one of these, Skeleton Crew shows. So
Ahsoka happens after Return of the Jedi, right?
Ahsoka takes place concurrently with the Mandalorian, yes, because we saw her in Mandalorian.
And Rebels took place after Revenge of the Sith?
Rebels takes place literally in parallel with Rogue One.
Okay, so it's just before the original
trilogy.
Yep. So all of the characters that would show up in the Ahsoka show will be aged up.
Yes, they will age up appropriately. About what 10 years or so.
Gotcha. So if somebody is to be watching Rebels and a character dies in Rebels, they will not be in the Ahsoka show because of the timeline.
Yeah, or maybe they could, and we'll talk
There's
more
always-
about that. We'll
there's
talk
always-
more about that at the end of this. So
There's always back to tanks, right?
Yeah, you can't. If you're Darth Maul somehow lived because of his popularity, right? You can't kill them all. Palpatine came back after 40 years or whatever.
Oh, God, don't say his
Yeah,
name.
it's too bad. He's right. It happened. We can't take it back, even no matter how bad it is. Let's jump into probably my most anticipated show for this year. Even is Star Wars: Tales from the Jedi, and this is an animated anthology series that will explain backstories or origins of characters that we know from the prequel era, including Count Dooku, Mace Windu, Ahsoka, and even Qui-Gon Jinn, with Liam Neeson coming back to voice him.
Yeah, that's crazy. I weirdly just saw a tweet a quote from Filoni that he's very excited for this. But he said, I guess he told the audience at Star Wars Celebration, if you don't like it, just put it away and put it on a shelf and ignore it or something like that. So maybe he's gotten a little bit of feedback from the Star Wars Visions, which I'm sure he didn't have a hand in directly making of any of those, but I'm sure he's like a producer in some aspect. I don't know.
So the animation from this is from the Clone Wars. It's the same animation style.
So it's going to be that style.
Yes. Now, what I fear is going to happen here, and I guarantee you Dave Filoni does anything that they've written for this that they put in these stories probably contradicts expanded universe stuff that was negated beforehand. And that's where your pushback is going to be.
Oh, okay. So he's talking about the super nerds out there.
Yeah, the people who listen to that. So I'm going to send you this photo's kind of been going around, a photo of the Ahsoka short they shared, showing like Ahsoka as a child and her family and where she came from before she was put into the stuff.
Okay, I see.
I also saw, and I can't find it again because, like I said, they're taking this stuff down pretty quickly. There is a side-by-side of Dooku as a young Jedi versus the old version, and it's almost like a de-aged version of his animated self from the Clone Wars.
I think I saw like Yaddle is supposed to be in this.
I would not be surprised.
Which is the if you're not familiar, it's like the counterpart of Yoda in those Jedi Council scenes in the prequels. I think it's supposed to be like Yaddle versus Mace Windu or something, which sounds like absolutely wild.
Yeah, it could be. I found the Dooku one, so it's a younger Dooku versus his older Sith self. So they're pulling some of the stuff out. It's going to be fun. Like you said, this isn't anything you have to take seriously, like the anthology stuff, but it is going to be really cool to see.
Good. I just kept thinking this was kind of like season 2 of Star Wars Visions. Yeah. So I'm excited that this is kind of more in the Filoni-verse.
Yes, yep, 100%, and it looks cool. And that is coming out this fall, 2022 on Disney Plus. So we don't have to wait very long for this, Mike, which is great because I figured some of the stuff was like 2024 announcements along the way. In a show that's probably going to rile up some of the angry online neckbeards, Mike, they're making a kid show of Star Wars, an animated kid show called The Young Jedi Adventures.
How dare they?
Literally, it's focusing on younglings in training, so this is prequel area. It's about learning things, courage and self-esteem, all this other fun stuff, edutainment, really. Probably not for us, but I'm glad they're making some stuff for kids.
Yeah, look at it this way: kids' television drives a lot of growth. Also, merchandise sales and toys. Yeah. So if you're particularly angry about this, I don't know why you would be. Think of it as like an ROI on investment. Disney Plus makes a couple kids shows, rake in a couple truckloads of cash, and they can make you the next season of like Mandalorian or whatever.
Exactly, and that's the thing with Star Wars. Star Wars has everything, right? There's men characters, women characters, kids, old characters, things of different species. Even this is a fantastic universe to dive their toes into, also, and easy money. This also isn't even new. They already do this. There's already like kids stuff for Star Wars. I mean, like what was the animated show where it was supposed to be like the pilots? It wasn't Visionaries.
Poe Dameron was like training or something like that.
Yeah, they had that.
That's basically a kid show.
They also had like the Empowered, like the women series, the animated Women of Star Wars series. It's great. This is fantastic. I think it's not for us, and we acknowledge that, but it could still be really fun. They could eventually have something that's really cool. Or if you've got kids and you want to get them into Star Wars, here's an easy in. You don't have to show them the actual war part of Star Wars along the way.
It's the gateway drug from Disney Plus.
That's right. I did stroll through a Walmart the other day and looked at their toy section to see if they had any lightsabers. Only one lightsaber on the shelf, Mike, that are making right now. You gotta up those numbers.
Either they're super popular, or maybe it's supply chain issues. Yeah. They're all in a freighter somewhere in the middle of the ocean.
We need a resurgence of those cheap lightsabers that telescope out. So
you gotta go to the aftermarket. You gotta get those gigapixels or whatever they are.
I want to get this. I'm really excited about the Star Wars land ones where you get your own crystal to put them in and it changes the color. So, very, very excited for that. All right, shifting gears. Speaking of changing lightsaber colors, no, I'm kidding. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is the upcoming announced sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, the video game, the Souls-like video game. I didn't even know what Souls were when I played this game, Mike. I remember it being very difficult, and I beat the hell out of it because I loved it. I love this game, Fallen Order, so much. And they recently got a next generation patch recently for like photo mode and ray tracing and all that other fun stuff. But this sequel trailer, very moody, very, very interesting here watching this.
Just tell me who's in the back to tank. I don't know anything about these games or stories, but it looks like Sephiroth.
It does
is floating in a back to tank.
So nobody knows who's in the back to tank at all. He's a one-armed person, because later you see someone with one arm and a red lightsaber, right? So this appears to be maybe some Sith. Some people want it to be a clone of Darth Revan from the older Knights of the Old Republic games. Some people think it's Star Killer from the what was that Star Wars Force Unleashed games. The people want it to be whoever it is. We have no idea who it is.
So this game, is it supposed to be officially canonized? Is this canon? Is this in the timeline? So I feel like we're gonna see this transcend maybe at some point in time, right? Like, so much love and care is going into this, and also just the main character looks identical to the actor that exists. Like, it seems like it would be very easy to like throw that guy into a
Cameron
Disney
Monaghan
show at some.
He played the Joker in the Batman in the Gotham show.
And remind me of the timeline of this show. With this movie, where does this happen?
So the first game is 5 years after Revenge of the Sith. This one is 5 years after that. So this takes place the same exact time Kenobi's going on right now. Okay,
so maybe this character could show up in Kenobi.
You mentioned that. Like, literally, we have Cameron Monaghan who looks like him. He could be in a later Kenobi episode if they wanted him to be.
Yeah, that could be too. Maybe that's why I saw that side-by-side Twitter shot. Maybe that was somebody was theorizing that.
Yeah.
And you could always do the thing, too, where, you just, like, age up can the guy grow a beard? If you can grow a beard, you go ahead and throw him in the next season of Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
But then you're kind of taking a little bit of the steam away from like the game trilogy, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming it'll be a trilogy, or even a quadrilogy. They'll just keep making the games.
Yeah, they're not numbering it, so it can be as many as they want, really.
Yeah, I guess you can't really throw him with a beard in the Mandalorian, because then it's just kind of like it'll be one of those like Metal Gear style of prequel games, like. If you ever die in the game, it would be a paradox, because how could he show up in season 4 of Mandalorian?
Yeah, exactly. So there's in this we see an Imperial senator. People said he looked like the Grand Inquisitor. He's not. It's just same race if characters. We get to see the red lightsaber, the one-armed person. None of the crew of the ship is in this trailer, other than Cal and his droid BD-1, which we saw the BD. So it's come from the droid in Boba Fett's BD-72. So it was a different droid model. But I really like these games. You can customize your lightsaber. You can get 2 lightsabers. You get a double-bladed lightsaber. Like you said, it's very Souls-like. You can block. It's about blocking and upgrading your force powers over time. You get to fight Inquisitors, which is the second sister and I think the 9th sister as well, who were first introduced in this game. This game introduced a bunch of new concepts without playing nostalgia or playing the greatest hits from what we already learned. A lot of the planets are new. The enemies you fought were new. It was really a great way to express Star Wars without digging on old stuff a little bit. So I know you maybe started playing it or didn't play it at all.
I played a little bit of it. It was bad timing.
Yeah.
Because I started playing it right after I had finished completing Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Which is a FromSoft Souls game.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of, you're going from kind of like the gold standard of that gameplay to a interpretation of it. So it just kind of threw me off. But after seeing this trailer, I was kind of thinking like, oh, I could probably just go on YouTube and just watch a compilation of the cutscenes and probably get everything out of it that I wanted to get out of it.
Yeah, it's really cool. The way you can play it, and like, because it's very interesting because when you get to the ship for the first time, you actually have like multiple planets you can go to. Like you can branch the story. It's not linear, as linear as other games. When you land on a planet, it's kind of linear, but like there's a lot of hidden stuff, Jedi powers to upgrade, stim packs to unlock for your droid and stuff like that. It's really fun. So really excited for this. And what I liked about the first one, like no DLC, right? Like they're like, you don't have to buy extra content to continue the story. It was a one and done God of War style game. The only update they added later was like hey, you can like go through you can set like your custom like scenarios. So you like, here's 10 ways of whatever you set up kind of thing, and practice your parrying and skill set. So really, really fun. You could probably do a quick gameplay thing online. I'm very excited about this one. Looks very dark. Don't know where it's going, but they're holding the mysteries close to their chest. We're going to step away from Star Wars. Even though it's a Star Wars celebration, this is a celebration of Lucasfilm. And Lucasfilm is known for making one other huge franchise that was important to anyone our age or older, Mike, and that is Indiana Jones. And little do we remember that Indiana Jones 5 is coming out June 30th, 2023. I don't know, is the bad taste of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in our mouths? Are they going to right the wrongs? Knowing Lucasfilm,
obviously,
but
they know that they have to kind of bring the legacy back to its former glory. I thought it was cool that they brought Harrison Ford out for John Williams' like 90th birthday celebration at Star Wars Celebration, and that's when they kind of like announced it, and they had that little screenshot of like his silhouette and like spelunking in a cave as he
walking
does.
Across a rickety bridge. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's weird. Nobody needed Crystal Skull. Nobody needed the trilogy to continue anyway. So maybe this is just the chance to like, well, let's just go back and fix what we broke. I'm curious, just like everything we see in Disney's land, are they going to pivot to something after this, right? Are they going to set up a new character? Is there going to be a Disney Plus show announced? Like, Young Indiana Jones is a series that exists, but like a new Younger
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I mean, that could be fun, possibly, but I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Indiana Jones is so great because Harrison Ford's character, right? Once he's gone, who knows? And Harrison Ford is a bit of a curmudgeon now, but he seemed to enjoy being on that stage from the clips that I saw. So maybe in some context, he's not an old curmudgeon.
Yeah, and he could like making movies. He's made a lot of great movies over his career. Being Han Solo, Indiana Jones, The Fugitive, anything and everything. He's done
President of the United States of America.
Yeah, Air Force One. And then, of course, the villain in this is, of course, our favorite Mads Mikkelsen, right? Like he's screen standard villain. Oh, look at style. I just I'd like to see a trailer. I'd like to know more about this. I know Harrison's getting up there in age, but like he was fighting Nazis in World War II, right? World War II era in the original movie. So and then the last one was after World War II. So where does this one take place, and what is he looking for? I think modern Indiana Jones kind of feels like, what's that series with Tom Hanks in it? Angels and Demons a little bit. So like,
Chris, I know exactly what he's looking for. He's looking for closure, like we all are.
Indiana Jones 5 and the hunt for more money. I don't know. It's we'll see more later, but Indiana Jones 5 is coming out June of next year, so we're a little less than a year away. A little more than a year away from this. So we'll keep you guys posted. We know we have some huge Indiana Jones fans listening. The sequel to the movie Willow, also called Willow, is got a teaser as well. Remember when we watched the funny preview of this last year with Warwick Davis going on all the cast? This looks interesting to me. I don't know Willow as well as other people, but I'd probably watch the first one and then watch this. I feel like I could follow it up pretty good. Do you have any thoughts?
It was just nice seeing Warwick Davis on screen again.
Yeah.
He had a short-lived show called Life is Short that kind of comedically followed his life as an actor. And he was just great. He was a delight in the show, and he's great to see on screen again. Similar to you, I know nothing about Willow. I did not grow up with Willow in any aspect at all. But maybe this will get me to watch the movie. I don't know. Yeah. I have a strong feeling I'm not going to watch any of this, even if it's great. I just don't have the member berries attached to it at all. So, I mean, don't be surprised if you don't get the spoiler cast series for Willow on this podcast.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, to me, things I remember about Willow was like, they had some of the puppet effects, right? This is Labyrinth era mysticism. Warwick Davis he was Wicket in Star Wars to begin with. He's done a lot of acting over the time, so I'd be interested to, watch this and see it. Like, I like fantasy, I like sci-fi. We have a Dungeons and Dragons coming up, but thankfully this is on Disney Plus, right? Like, we don't have to go to the theaters to watch this. And Willow's a series. I apologize. This is a series, not a movie. I just realized this. So, I'll probably catch it here or there. But like I said, it's not like I have to tune in day one to catch all these kind of things. So it'll be fun to check it out. That is our Star Wars Celebration news. The other big thing Star Wars related that came out this week is Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show on Disney Plus. And here is the part of the show where we're going to talk about this because it was 2 episodes, right? Not just 1, but 2 that came out. So we are now a third of the way through this 6-part series. And we're going to talk about it.
It dropped a little bit early, too, during the Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor panel at Star Wars Celebration. So if you were so inclined, you could have watched it a little bit earlier. But I think like most people, I didn't watch it till Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched one Friday and one Saturday due to everything kind of going on this weekend in our world over here. But you can stream them both right now. They're on there. Check. So let's talk about this, Mike. Full spoilers ahead for anyone who hasn't watched this, like we always do with our TV show reviews. So we'll jump into this. One thing about this show we've always asked, why does this show exist, right? That's something we talk about with Andor. Why do we need to come back to Obi-Wan Kenobi? We know he's a badass Jedi. We've loved him in the movies. We love the stories with imagining stuff about him. So why bring him out of hiding? And I will tell you the thing I did not know about this show, did not expect, was actually he's not saving Luke. He's actually out saving Leia the whole time for this.
Okay, so I'm glad to know that it wasn't information that was already floating out around there, because I was like, oh, is this just Mike being out of the loop? I was like, I didn't know Leia was going to be in this show, but there she is. Yeah,
100%. We knew Luke was, and they did a really good job hiding that. Why Obi-Wan is out is because he's out to save Leia from being kidnapped, which we get to see the was it third sister, fourth sister, whatever her name is, Reva, is using Leia as a way to lure Obi-Wan out of hiding from 10 years so she can kill him herself, which I think she's a little over-ambitious in the show, and will probably get knocked down a peg or two by Darth Vader. I think Darth Vader's going to kill her. I think she's going to overstep her lines and he's going to kill her. But, it's interesting to see the live-action version of the Inquisitors, this world. I know we were on a sand planet early on, Mike, but I didn't feel like it felt like the other sand planets as much. I don't know if that's maybe because it was half Alderaan, half, Tatooine in that first episode. It didn't rub me the wrong way like Boba Fett did. How do you feel about that?
Well, we did know, I was preparing myself because we kind of knew from the trailers that Obi-Wan was going to be going on some sort of adventure, so I wasn't too stressed out about how long that we were going to be there. But just to talk about the show in general, right? Usually I feel like when a streaming show, a series, kind of drops 2 episodes at once, I feel like what they're trying to say without saying it is like, the first episode's not quite going to grab you, so that's why we're going to give you 2, so at least the vibes coming out of the first week will be a little bit stronger. But just in general for me, after I watched these 2 episodes, I was like, it's fine. It's fine. There's nothing here that's like particularly grabbing me. It's nice to see Ewan McGregor on screen again, just because he's great, and it's awesome to see him kind of like back in the robes again, but nothing in these 2 episodes particularly excited me. Like, it was just fine. Like, I'm sure the adventure will continue. We'll get a little bit more action. We'll get some more fun and reveals. But as of right now, there's not really any particular thing I could pull out and go like, oh, wow, wasn't that just insane and fun? Yeah. What a great Star Wars adventure. Like, I feel like we're just kind of limping into this show right now, at least to me.
But I think that's intentional because Obi-Wan is limping himself back into it, right? He's cut himself off from the Force to be in hiding. He didn't even use any Force powers or even like mind tricks until he had to save Leia, right? And even then it looked pretty painful. Like, it was like an old man, trying to do sports for the first time in a long time. So, like, I think it's intentional. And I think the 2 episodes are released together for a reason, because I feel like this is going to be told in 3 parts. Like, I feel like, to me, this is a 3-part season, like, series. Like, there's a first act, a second act, and a third act, and they're all groups of 2 episodes. Because what we got this was, we got off of, we get the initial Act 1 is getting Obi-Wan back into this, saddle. He digs up his lightsabers. He's got, the only reason I think he would ever leave was to either save Luke or, mostly Luke, but Leia was a second choice, and, that was great that they were able to use that without affecting, the Luke, what we know of Luke Skywalker going forward. We got Jimmy Smits back as Bail Organa from the original trilogy. And what was cool about the second one is, this grimy, grungy planet, and then the appearance of even Kumail Nanjiani, right? Like, this is like to me it felt like a bottom feeder Coruscant kind of thing, but it was cool to visually distinct areas that they were kind of using for this along the way. But he doesn't want to do that. I think that's the thing. Like, this is curmudgeon Kenobi right here. Like, he doesn't want to do this. He's like, shut the hell up, kid. Follow me. I just got to get you home so I can go back and be miserable in the desert for another 10 years before A New Hope kicks off.
Yeah.
So
I suppose this is. Go ahead.
Well, it's just not. It's not a happy 2 episodes, right? There's no. He doesn't even pull his lightsaber out. He has it, but he hasn't even turned it on. But like, to me, the emotional weight of this, both episodes, one and the other, is when he finds out that Anakin is still alive. That is, I think, the emotional weight of this 2 episodes. So the first one, not so much of a grab, but the second one, when you're like, he finds out he's alive, and it ends with Vader in the bacta tank. He's just like, fuck, this is miserable. This is the worst timeline ever I could be in right now. After 10 years, like, everything's going horrible, and he's not happy about it. He's not like a happy-go-lucky kind of guy about it. But yeah, go ahead on what you were saying.
Yeah, I suppose the kind of, not the revision of history, but I guess we're getting a little bit more context behind Leia saying, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope, right? And that's because she knew him at one point in time. I don't know if that really had ever been revealed in any way. Mm-hmm. So I guess we're getting a little bit more context of like how she knew who to reach out to. Because doesn't she say in the longer version of that message, like, does she say you've helped my father before?
You served with my father in the Clone Wars. Like, that's where they first mentioned that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, she may not know. Yeah. She may not mention directly, but like, you need to help us with this larger battle because of your Clone Wars service.
And Chris, I don't know about you. I'm a fan of a Red Hot Chili Pepper song every once in a while. But why the hell is Flea in this show? Yeah. He's wearing like a yellow, orange, like Hawaiian style shirt. He does not feel threatening at all to me.
He actually just showed up on set, and they just kept filming. They actually didn't know why he was there.
Everything involving those goons, honestly, to me, felt really sloppy. Like, go back and watch the scene where they're trying to chase down Leia in the woods, and it almost seems like comical. Like, I know what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to visually tell you that Leia is more than just some little princess. She can get out there, get in the dirt, and she can, for the most part, hold up her own. But she's a little kid, so she can only do so much. So they're showing her sliding under vines and, stuff like that. But, like, the way it's shot is just nonsensical. Like, one of the goons, like, runs basically into a tree branch and can't catch up to her. And it's like one of those things where it's like, these adults, if they just ran flat out, they could catch her in 2 seconds. But they're like, I don't know. So some of the visual directing was just assumed they were a little weird.
I just assume they're bad mercenaries, right? Like, they seem like idiots the whole time. I agree, like, they could have done more, but I also think, like, maybe Reva hired cheaper people, mercenaries, because she didn't want it to be like a high profile kind of job. Because I didn't feel like their ship was very expensive either. Like they're just kind of like scraping by and being like a bad gang. I know what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing.
And
but I think they're supposed to play stupid people, and they did. They nailed that.
And why was it so easy to capture like a princess? Like, I get it. Like, she wants to get out there and get out in the woods and run around, but like, how is there no security on this compound? So like, some of those moments kind of let me down as well. So that's why just the culmination of everything is just like, it's fine. Like, you're not gonna get me tweeting about this and get it trending on social media. And then I feel like I'm already just kind of like seeing the progression of it in my head. They're gonna keep showing us moments where Obi-Wan, where we want Obi-Wan to go full tilt, pull out all the stops, and he won't do it. And then finally, there's gonna be a moment where he gets that lightsaber out, and we're all supposed to get out of our seats and cheer. And I just feel like it's not gonna be that exciting when it happens. No. So I'm a little lukewarm on this, unfortunately, but. This just goes over broader in general for me, just like in Star Wars. Like, how much longer can we keep going back to the well of just Star Wars stuff that we already know? And I feel like we're running low on it. Out of all these announcements that we've seen a lot of stuff that hasn't been adapted before or brand new, like the Skeleton Crew, that's really not adapted on anything, even Filoni adjacent. So, that's positive, that's good. But I was also just thinking more broad in general of the sense of like, there's only like really two examples that I can think of, Chris, of big worlds that have been adapted to live action. I feel like it's just Marvel and Star Wars right now, and they're both owned by like the same company. So we only have like those two things to compare it against, right? Like, we have not seen anything developed out as much as this. It's huge. So it's like they're kind of trying to solve new problems right now, right? Mm-hmm. With how do we build out a world? Like with Marvel, I feel like you have an advantage of being rooted in kind of Earth and realism in our world. So you have kind of like a way in as a viewer to be like, okay, kind of, I understand locations and times, and this all makes like sense to me. But then you have the disadvantage of you have to like kind of be rooted to, logic in a way of our world, our dimension, how stuff works for the most part. Star Wars has the advantage of having this fantastical world where they don't have to follow any of our preconceived rules, right? But like, how do you connect with any of it in any way, right? We go from planet to planet in Star Wars. We meet all of these new characters, but like, I don't know how they live their lives. I don't know what a credit or a coin or gold means to any of these people. I have like no way to relate to anything that's happening. So I feel like that is much less of a problem when you're just making like a movie here or there, right? Or a trilogy, because nobody cares. We're just here for the action. But now that you're starting to build out these bigger worlds, like these families, you're starting to just tell these more like intimate stories of what was it like for Ahsoka growing up as a child, right? I think that's going to be a harder struggle than they think going forward, because I don't really connect to anybody emotionally in these series, because it's like, it's just in a world that I can't, really imagine in any way. So I'm going to be kind of like clocking that moving forward to see just how any of that plays out, because like we said before, nobody is really in the zone yet. Like, I can't think of any world out there on my screen that has had so many minutes of screen time, right? Except for Marvel. Can you? Like, I thought of like James Bond, but like that's not even movies. Coherent. Yeah. That's not cohesive. That doesn't connect here or there. Well, so
even if it did, it's still the same number of movies as Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, they're going to have unique problems coming up, and we'll see if there's ways to solve it.
Star Wars has solved this problem with books, not with TV shows, right? I think that's the thing. Like, they have in their advantage that I guess, they wiped out to do the sequel trilogies, which they shouldn't have. I guess they could have for some, but like the sequel trilogies, they could have leaned on all this content, right? That people have written to make the characters believable and stuff like that. But I think, you're looking for too much out of science fiction in a sci-fi world. Like, there's fantasy and sci-fi.
They're looking for too much. You can't make all of these shows nonstop for years and years and years without thinking about even the little things. Because once you start to zoom in and expand, I'm going to see the details. You're stretching the JPEG too much.
But that's what they're doing. They're going back and like, okay, well, here's Ahsoka, and her. And honestly, if you watch the Clone Wars, you see her progress, but they're adding more to it. And so you don't, by your logic, like, they're adding more that you want to see, and now you're like, I don't know if you don't want to see it. Like, they're trying to go back and do that. Now they're backfilling some of these popular characters. It's a weird era, the prequel stuff like that. But like, I feel, for me, and not to see Star Wars, like, Kenobi to me was really fun because I didn't expect it. Like, everyone just wants Kenobi to come back and be the person he is, but he's not going to be that person. You know, he wasn't even that person in A New Hope. He pulled Star Wars, his lightsaber to, you know, we all saw the battle, the very stiff lightsaber battle from A New Hope, right? Like, but it's still very emotional, even like characters only been on screen for a couple minutes. What I'm excited about this is, like, you know, he doesn't want to do this, and at the end of it, you know, I'm pretty sure there's going to just be one season of this, right? Like, I don't see a need for another season. When it ends, you know, he's going to be in a place to put him there in 10 years. Like, why does he also recut himself off from the Force? Like, what is this going to be? I really like the Inquisitors, and I think, you know, when you catch up with Rebels, you know, and the Fallen Order, you're going to see a lot more of these characters that are important in the show that have been introduced in the other mediums before. I will say, and this is what I was going to bring up, she stabs the Grand Inquisitor at the end of episode 2, right?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
he is literally the main antagonist of Rebels, so, which takes place 5 years after this. So I'm very not saying that you can't kill Sith, you know, with one lightsaber, like, but what is going on in this universe? Like, what? That's my biggest question. Like, I want to know what this is because I'm interested, because we talk about, if you have a prequel, you know, they can't kill the character because he's already alive later. Well, they pretty much, it looked like they killed him, right? Like, I don't know what else they would have done. That's the same move that killed Qui-Gon Jinn. So, you know, is he gonna have that as he carries forward? How does this character come back to life, or what are we missing here? It's like, is the Grand Inquisitor a clone? I fucking hope not. But like, like, he is the main character in Rebels, which makes it very an intriguing character for Rebels. So like, that's why I'm like, they're doing stuff here that I didn't expect, that because now this character's going to be alive somewhere else. Now I'm interested where that's going along the way.
It was interesting to see her stab him, because I kept thinking that during the first and second episode. I was like, these are just, you know, they might be like coworkers, but all of these people are essentially just evil bad guys. Yeah. Like, if you're having a problem with your boss, why don't you just kill him? It's not like you're a Jedi that has to follow like some sort of code. Just take him off the board. And she did, and I was like, all right, well, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And it's interesting. You know, they always show the Sith have the orange eyes, right? And Reva doesn't have the orange eyes yet, so I'm excited to see kind of what her origin is. Is she one of those younglings from the start of episode 1 or the first episode kind of thing?
It does seem like they're pivoting, because they're like, oh, you're not like us, or I don't remember exactly what the line was, but it seems like she's like a rehabbed Jedi. You know, she was a Jedi, or they found her Force sensitive and they made her evil.
The other ones are rehabbed Jedis as well. They're turned Jedi. The Grand Inquisitor was actually one of the Imperial Jedi guards who you know, took Barriss Offee in the Clone Wars. But like, you know, what does that mean? What is her background? What makes her different? Because she seems to be, the other ones are like, what, we know what we're doing, we know why we're here, we don't want to upset the boss man, because if he comes out in here, there's going to be hell to pay. But like, she's still very, very aggressive. So maybe she's younger. Is she a newer one maybe that we just don't know? I want to learn more about her background before they obviously kill her off, because we've never heard of her before.
Also, it seems like she has some sort of maybe connection to Obi-Wan, because she's very, very intent on getting this guy, and I suppose it could be just to impress her boss, Lord Vader, and she knows that they have a connection. But like, it almost seems like maybe like Obi-Wan interacted with her as a child, or maybe
that's why I think like she was part
parents?
of, like,
I don't know.
She could have been during the Jedi Purge, and maybe he wasn't there to save her or something like that. And they I don't know. There's a lot of questions for the next 4 episodes, which we will have, you know, week over week. So
yeah, I'm not saying the show can't get better. Yeah, but as of right now, I'm lukewarm. But
Mike wants lightsabers. That's all he wants.
Everybody knows I'm going to be watching it on Friday. Like, I'm not gonna Willow it and not watch it at all. Yeah. So we'll tune back next week and we'll recap episodes.
Yeah. Next week will be the halfway point. They usually set stuff up, you know, in movies, the halfway point, heroes at his worst or at his best. So I mean, I'm excited to see, you know, will they be able to capture the lightsaber battles from the prequels trilogies, because that was some of the best lightsaber battles. So we'll keep that posted. All right, it is the end of the Star Wars for today. We're gonna sunset these Star Wars. We're gonna move on and enjoy our Memorial Day weekend. Mike, if people know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at, sir?
Oh, they can find me, as always, at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, people want to catch up with you, see how those hard Mountain Dews are treating you, because I know you got a case of those ready to try.
Man.
Where can they find you?
I got a case of the Dew, if you know what I mean. Find me on Twitter, Valdan, VALDAN, or Instagram, Valdan87. Or you can come back every week and listen to this show, because we're going to redo this every week. If people know more about the show, they can listen to our episodes. I believe we don't have any reviews coming up till Thor, right? I don't think there's anything coming up on the agenda. Where can they find all our good episodes at?
Well, if you would like to visit the Superhero Slate Moisture Farm, you can find us at superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find all the avenues we host our show and to get our awesome show notes. So we talked about a lot of reveals and stuff. So we got a lot of blue links here for our show notes that you can go check out. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Reach out. What did you think of the Obi-Wan premiere? Are you in the Stranger Things universe? What was your favorite Star Wars?
It's a great week to be a nerd.
Yes. What was your favorite Star Wars celebration announcement? We want to know. Did the Andor trailer change your mind like it did for me? I was surprised, just as surprised as you are. If you want to be a super fan of this show, all you have to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week, folks. And I hope you had a great holiday weekend here if you're here in the States.
Yes.
And that's it from me.
Awesome. Well, we will catch everybody next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.